Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today I'm doing another side-by-side comparison, and this time it is against the two easy tablets really out in the market. That is the iPad Air versus the Kindle Fire HDX 8.9. Now, these two tablets are really well known for their easiness to use and just very simplicity in their nature and how their UI is laid out. Very simple. So we're going to find out which one is the better today and in which categories. Now, although I am called the Android guy, I do always give credit where credit is due. So let's see which one is better in which categories, and let's see which categories matter most to you. Now, when it comes to the look and feel category, this one had a little bit more trouble than normal. When it comes to look, I would say the iPad definitely takes it. The look of it is just more well known, and more people love this look of the iPad. So, you know, the look is very simplistic, very fingerprint prone in the middle, and can be scratched on the aluminum. That's one thing I don't care for about aluminum. But a lot of people love the brush feel of aluminum, so that's definitely going to be really nice for the look again. In terms of look, Amazon, although it's much better than last year's model, a lot of people will not like the fingerprint look that comes very quickly all around the device. Although this part can be very easily wiped off, this texture, although it feels great, which I'm going to go into feel next, it doesn't look as nice. So for look, I would give it to Apple. However, when it comes to feel, a lot of people have loved the iPad Air. A lot of Apple users have loved the way it feels. In terms of how it is to hold now, the weight is less and all that. For me, I've come from Android, so we've had a lot lighter tablets compared to the iPad for the past couple of years. So I don't feel the amazingness of the weight. Although this is lighter than most Androids now, it's by very few ounces in comparison. However, one thing that I will say is when you compare this to the HDX, this is what I would say is air, light as a feather. It feels better than any other tablet that I've ever felt, which is saying a lot since I've pretty much used every tablet ever on the market. This feels so good. The texture on this backing feels perfect. It feels perfect to hold, easily one-handed. I mean, you can just like hold it up with like 2 fingers, 3 fingers very easily, and it feels perfect. Easily one-handed use. You can just use this very easily one-handed. Although the iPad you can use one-handed, the weight is definitely there. Whereas this, I mean, you could use one-handed all day and it'll never get tired. Now, to be fair, this is an 8.9, but definitely the feel you have to feel this tablet. It just feels amazing. I love magnesium, which is the material they use for this to give it its lighter weight than aluminum by far, and it just feels really nice. So for look, Apple. For feel, it would be the Kindle Fire HDX. Which one is more important to you? That's up to you. I'm going to call this a draw. When it comes to web browsing, the first thing we always take a look at is the screens. So on these two devices, you have very, very good screens. You have a 9.7 2048 by 1536 screen, which gives you a pixels per inch of 264 ppi. And on the Kindle Fire HDX, however, though, you have an amazing, still amazing screen, 2560 by 1600, giving it a 339 pixels per inch, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the best pixels per inch we've seen on a tablet thus far, at least in the US. So really amazing pixels per inch. You really have to give it to Kindle for coming up with this screen, or whoever is manufacturing their screen is just really on the cutting edge when it comes to that. And now let's actually check out their speed of their web browsing, and then we'll check out everything else. And now they're just both loading. And the app will finished. and the Kindle finished a little bit after. Although this did have a little bit of a hiccup, I would still say it was about a 3-second comparison even after taking the little hiccup in consideration. So the iPad was a little bit faster on loading. Now let's check out their movement. I would say this one kind of flows a little bit faster. Let's check out pinch to zoom. Although both are quick, it seems like when I'm adjusting it back, the Kindle takes a little bit longer. And let's do the double tap. Okay, not really what I was going for on the iPad. Let's try again. Yeah, I would definitely say there's just no doubt about it. The iPad Air is going to be better for the web browsing experience between these two. Although again, you just really have to give the screen so much credit for just fitting that huge screen in where like this one you have to scroll down to see the same amount. So really nice in that aspect, but overall the web browsing is better on the iPad. Now when it comes to listening to music, the first thing we generally take a look at is the speaker placement. On the iPad Air, you have it on the very bottom of the tablet, which isn't exactly ideal. Typically we like a stereo sound like the Kindle Fire HD provides. However, placement isn't everything. Let's start to check out the sound quality. First we're going to go over the iPad Air, then to the Kindle, then back and forth.
Change, the lights go on, they scream my name, the curtain goes down, I remain the same. But all that money don't equal the price of fame. From LA to New York, Seattle to the Bay, West Coast, night flights to Oahu, we can late. Yeah, go down to Vegas, they don't stay. Last show in Cali, headed out to the States. I was a boy with a dream, had my head in the clouds. Now I'm sleeping first class, got a bed in the clouds. Hit my pops to pick me up, and he said he was proud. King shit with a beanie on instead of a crown. Yeah, counting all my blessings. Shout out to the most high. Started from the bottom, now I'm sitting at the most high. Gypsies to the business, now I'm literally so fly, motivated by my...
Okay, so hopefully you could hear that very clearly, but the iPad Air definitely had the louder quality out of the two. So you could hear it much more clearly, well not clearly, you could hear it a lot better. It's a lot louder and definitely has some bass to it. I will say at the highest volume though, it does start to crackle a little bit, like the bass tries to overcompensate and the vocals aren't as clear as I would typically like them to be. And while the Kindle Fire HDX is very clear, it just doesn't have anywhere near the amount of loudness that the iPad Air has. So for music, it's going to be the iPad Air. Now, when watching movies, these two tablets are obviously going to have both amazing screens. The question is, which one's really better for watching movies? Well, one thing about the Kindle Fire HDX, even though it's a 1-inch smaller tablet, the screen size when watching a movie is pretty much identical, if not, it seems like a millimeter or so bigger than the iPad Air, simply because the iPad Air still has the old 4:3 ratio instead of a 16:9 ratio. However, which one is actually better when it comes to watching a movie? So let's try that now. Okay, so in terms of both these devices, both are really good looking. I would say I think the colors are slightly better on the HDX, but by very minimal, I would say. And also the clarity is better than the HDX by very minimal. However, neither one's a bad viewing experience for watching a movie, so therefore I'm going to give this a tie because neither one's really bad. Yes, the HDX has a better screen, but neither one's a bad watching experience. Now, when it comes to the photo quality on these two devices, you have a 8 megapixel in the rear with the Kindle Fire HDX, and you have a 5 megapixel with the iPad Air. However, most people would always say, well, the iPad Air is still going to be better in camera. And that's what I thought going into this by far. I was like, oh, they're just going to take the camera easily. However, what we got is actually kind of surprising. This is not only 8 megapixel, but it has a better f-stop, which just is determining how much light is let through and things like that. First of all, this is the best color reproduction I've probably ever seen on a device. This is exactly how this color looks. I can't show it on the camera because it's dark, but it's just identical, which is very surprising for the Kindle Fire HDX to have. This one is a little bit washed out when it comes to it. It kind of let in too much light, and all the colors are faded compared to what they actually are. Again, very, very surprised by that one. Very. When it comes to clarity on these two, again, we kind of see a difference in how much light was being let through and how it was controlled. So for the iPad, when I zoom in on a black area, it's definitely more washed out in comparison. And then when we actually see things like text, it's just really, well, let me zoom to about the same. It's just really apparent that this does a much better job of actually highlighting text, although it seems it's too bright for the screen to pick up, at least on my end. But I can see it here. I cannot really, it's fine, I can kind of read it, but this is just so much better and more well done. So, and we find this on almost every part of the text. It's a lot crisper and a lot less noise on the HDX's end, surprisingly. However, when we go to the front camera, that's when it's a whole different story. The iPad Air definitely has more detail when it comes to the front camera compared to the Kindle Fire HDX. However, as you may have seen in most of our videos, we do not rate the front camera as well as the rear camera, simply because with the front camera, you're mainly going to be used to taking videos. If you take selfies with the tablet, then you should not own a tablet. But yes, so definitely I would go for the rear camera more so, which definitely goes to the Kindle Fire HDX, surprisingly. So the camera will go to the Kindle Fire HDX. Now, when it comes to games, both of these play games without any problems whatsoever. You have two of the best processors and graphics cards by far, so playing games on these will be amazing. However, the iPad Air just has so much more selection compared to the Amazon Kindle Fire HDX. That is its main problem. If this one had the Google Play Store, I would honestly call this a draw. But because of these two, it really has to just go to the iPad Air. Just so much more selection when comparing to the Amazon Kindle Fire HDX selection. The App Store is just a lot smaller in comparison. When it comes to battery life between these two, we see a pretty much continuous trend with these two. Not only does the iPad, first of all, both of them give you over 9 hours, which is something to say for tablets. Not all tablets definitely give you that much time. The iPad tends to give you about 9 to 10 hours on average. However, the Kindle Fire HDX is in a league of its own, really, with battery life. In terms of a 10-inch scale, it really lends itself to being more of an 11 to 13-hour battery life from what we've seen. Some websites have rated it more. I haven't seen that as more than that, but I mean, really, getting to the 11th and 12th hours is really great on a tablet. So definitely you can use them very easily and use them on multiple days, no problem. But one thing I will say also that the Kindle has an advantage of is it charges a lot quicker compared to the iPad. I was updating both these to the newest software before I did this thing, and I charged both of them, and the Kindle just charged a lot faster in comparison to the iPad. So another important thing to note. Now when it comes to extras, this was actually really interesting. So nothing really hardware extras on either of these devices, so that's important to note. You really don't have any extras to speak of hardware-wise. So what about software-wise? Well, software, Apple definitely has a huge compelling, and that's these three. You now get Pages, Numbers, and Keynote right away for free, as all you have to do is download them from the App Store. On the Kindle Fire HDX, however, you get 4 really nice compelling answers to that. First thing is free time, ideal for kids and family situations. So definitely really nice, so you can have that for a secondary person to use it very easily. Second would be Mayday. You have basically a constant tap to someone to automatically help you use it without needing to go to a store like a Genius Bar. So for that reason, it's a really very helpful tool, and I know a lot of people have really liked it, so I had to mention that one. Another thing that's really huge on the extras that doesn't get enough credit, I would say, is Test Drive. You can actually try out paid-for apps on here. Something I know a lot of Apple users would love to be able to do, and you can actually do that on the Amazon App Store now. So it's very useful for that. And finally, the last bit of feature that it has is that you have a free app every day on the Amazon App Store. It's just something that you always have, so you will get 365 apps a day, or 365 apps a year for free with the Amazon App Store. So that is definitely worth mentioning. So for that reason, I actually gave it overall to the Kindle Fire HDX for the extras. Just overall, I would say the extras are better, although this obviously has a really great extra for productivity. If your family, free time is a big help. Everyone loves free apps. Everyone loves to test apps, so that's for everyone. And then you have Mayday for the people that don't really know to use a tablet. So for that purpose, I would say all around, your extras are going to be more versatile for the Kindle Fire HDX. Now when it comes to price, we have a definite advantage with these two. For the Kindle Fire HDX 8.9 as the 16 gig model, it starts at $379. However, with the iPad Air, you're going to get the 16 gig model starting at $499. Now, as we've seen these tablets, although there's a huge difference in apps, I'll definitely clearly say that. In the categories we've gone over, they're fairly similar for the most part. So when comparing these two, you definitely have to give obviously the Kindle Fire HDX 8.9 the better bang for your buck, just because you are getting really great hardware without a doubt, and a really great experience for any basic user. So you do get the better bang for your buck for the Kindle Fire HDX. Alright, let's tie them up and see who won. When it comes to look and feel, this is actually divided. The iPad Air has the better look and the Kindle Fire HDX has the best feel. Again, I definitely recommend taking a look at it, this tablet. Just the feel is perfect. Every other manufacturer should take note. Web browsing is definitely going to go to the iPad Air. The Silk browser is just not good on the Amazon, and the iPad is obviously one of the best web browsers. So therefore, obviously, the iPad Air will win the web browsing easily. Music is going to go to the iPad Air. Just better speakers overall, a lot louder, definitely, and there's just no comparison with loudness when comparing these two tablets. The iPad Air takes it. Movies, although I would give a slight edge to the Kindle Fire HDX, neither one is bad movie watching experience. Both are really good and amazing screen qualities to watch a movie on. When it comes to the camera quality, a surprising win for the Kindle Fire HDX. Again, before reviewing this, I had easily thought the iPad Air would take this one, but the photos don't lie. It really was better in the Kindle Fire HDX compared to the iPad Air. Gaming easily goes to the iPad Air, although every game you play on the HDX 8.9 will play flawlessly. It doesn't compare to the lack of selection compared to the iPad Air. You have one of the biggest selections in games to the least selections in games. It's going to be gaming for the iPad Air. Battery life, both are amazing battery life, so you have to give them both credit for lasting more than 9 hours on a continuous basis. But when it comes to pure watching experience and doing things more on the go, you are going to want to have the Kindle HDX more with you. It's just going to have a longer battery life. Extras, there was only really software extras, no hardware extras with these two devices. On the iPad, you definitely had the productivity with iWork built in. However, with the Kindle Fire HDX, you had a plethora of things, such as Mayday, kids' free time, you had Test Drive, as well as every day you get a free app. So overall, the extras will go to the Kindle Fire HDX. Price point, it's going to be $120 difference without any sales. So for $120, yes, it is going to be a cheaper experience in comparison to these two devices. So when we tally it all up, the Kindle Fire HDX actually won by 1 point. Now this was a very close comparison, and the iPad Air won in web browsing, music, and gaming. So if these are your fortes, definitely you should get the iPad Air. If you are leaning more towards good photo quality, surprisingly, battery life, extras, and price, you definitely want to go with the Kindle Fire HDX 8.9. So depending on what side you're on, these are great, both great devices. The choice is yours. Hope you liked this comparison. Please give a thumbs up if you did. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, leave them down below. This is RICKY, the Android Guy.